welcome to this edition of Straight Talk, in which we examine with X-ray issues, challenging issues that borders on how to make life more better to the people, for the people rather. We're having today with us Barrister Muhima Gajere-Mingado, the Executive Chairman of Kano State Anti-Corruption Commission, who will be shedding light on the recently signed policy document on Kano State Anti-Corruption Strategy 2019 to 2023. What is this document all about, Mr. Chairman?
Well, just by way of introduction, we happen to be the only state or a subnational government in Nigeria that institutionalized the fight against corruption. You can see from our institutional framework, we have an anti-corruption law, which is the Kano State Public Complaints and Anti-Corruption Commission Law 2008, which established this commission. And it also provides for punitive measures on corrupt practices and other related and allied offenses. And secondly, we equally subscribe to open government partnership, which will ensure, the OGP, which will ensure transparency and accountability in governance, open contracting policy, and what have you. Now, we equally establish a Kano anti-corruption Actus, Anti-Corruption and Transparency Unit across all MDS and the 44 local government areas of Kano State. Okay. This Actus is aimed at proactive disclosure of corruption-related open cases. Then we equally have now to sum everything together and to bring the whole thing together under one streamlined umbrella is Kano Anti-Corruption Strategy. What we are doing in terms of investigation, arrest, seizure, and prosecution is only at the macro level. For instance, it's only when we are aware of the case, when we have a reportage that will go after these issues or after the so-called alleged crimes of corruption and what have you. Now, what we have in the strategy is to bring all the stakeholders together to ensure a kind of institutionalization of anti-corruption mechanisms across board, whereby we're going to have a situation whereby we are going to have, because we have an M&E framework that will be monitoring and evaluation framework that will be monitored, and we have the DEX officers. We have a contact DEX officer. We have a risk assessment officer, and we have it all provided in the strategy. What is the essence of this is for us to make sure that in all the public institutions in Kano State, we have what we call anti-corruption watchdog, whereby they will be reporting to appropriate agencies. Like we are the champion agency anyway. Okay. It's our document. We will do, but for instance now, if we have an institution, or rather, for instance, I don't want to mention an agency so that the head of the agency will not start being jittery. But for instance, what we have in Kano State,
you have an agency that is found one.
I want to make a reference in Kano State street light, Kano State Metropolitan Agency anyway. They are responsible for street lighting. Now, it is the same people, because we receive a complaint from the Director General himself against one of his staff. Now, when we received that complaint, what we did was to invite the DAX, as the DAX, first of all, to start investigating on the allegation that, yes, he went extra mile and ultra biased all necessary powers conferred on him as a public officer to go and do what is not necessary, what is not even permissible for him to do that. But when he opened up, we find out that it is a corruption that is at play, and that is why we have a dog-eat-dog scenario thereabout. So if, for instance, if this framework is in place, we doesn't need the DG or any other person to come and complain to us before we react. In fact, Mayor Park, the president of our DEX officers and what have you there, because the DEX officers will the anti-corruption strategies have provide a protection for them, a kind of protection against victimization and what have you. So what we have a kind of a guard that will not even allow it to happen. And when it happens, we're going to have a timely and prompt reporting of such kind of case so that the Commission will now ignite its enforcement mechanism to make sure that law take its course on that.
So the desk officers that you're talking about now that will be at the MDAs, will they be the staff of the agency?
Yes, yes.
The MDAs?
Staff of the MDS. Let me tell you something. You see, just like what we have, because we are going to meet this anti-corruption and transparency unit, they are going to metamorphose to be the desk officers that will be taking care of implementation of this anti-corruption strategy. Because the strategy has come up with so many initiatives. What we have is a kind of policy framework that is signed by the governor, approved by the governor, and that is how each and every employee or appointee of the government is supposed to behave. So anybody that go contrary to that policy is going contrary to what is approved and what is designed for him to work.
So the desk officer will report to who?
We have a mechanism. As I'm talking to you now, we have developed this commission to be more or less an IT-based organization.
Okay.
So we have
your organization is IT
driven. So we have so many initiatives which are now up here. I cannot tell you that this is what it is and this is what it is. And for the sake of confidentiality as well, I will not preempt what we aim to. But I'm trying to tell you, it's not necessary for even the head of the MDA to know the kind of people that are working in that framework. So what we are doing is we are trying to make sure that at least as a head of anti-corruption today, I know there are some people that are working with the governor and they are reporting to the governor.
How will this be able to fast track the work of the anti-corruption?
I am telling you, this is the turning around of everything. I believe what we are doing, it will multiply in 100 folds. Because if we are now waiting for somebody to come and see, some of the petitions, or rather larger percentage of the petitions, is because of the pull out. If I am with you, like the one I was just referring to, if all things being equal, nobody hear from them. It is only when there is a problem that is when things start coming to us. But when we have a mechanism that will not even allow things to happen, or that will foresee it, because we are going to be giving them training and retraining and what have you, and we have all the communication of government. So it's a kind of an initiative, and it is there at the federal level as well. So it's not something new that we create. It's something that is adoptable. It's something that is, conventionally accepted, and that is needed under even the United Nations Convention Against Corruption.
One of the problems that we've mostly been having is the kind of fight against corruption in this country, because many people believe that, for instance, the Kano Anti-Corruption Agency, that is the Kano State Public Complaint and Anti-Corruption Commission, is responsible to the governor, not to the people.
I stand to disagree with you. And anybody who has this notion is, if I am not much more insolent, is ignorant.
Oh.
Let me tell you something. The governor is an elected official of the people. He has the people mandate. And that is why when you come to the office, he will swear an oath that I will do right to all manner of people without fear or favor, affection or ill will. Whether you like it or you don't like it, whether you love the governor or you don't love the governor is there for you. Whether you are in the ruling party or you are in the opposition. Let me give you an example. If, for instance, we have a murder case today, it is the responsibility of the governor to make sure that justice is done to that victim and the family. So what I'm trying to tell you, many people turn to ignore that because the governor did not belong to my party and he could not stand for me. No, it's not like that. What is obtainable is that the governor is representing the people. So if I am responsible to the governor, which means by extension I am responsible to the people. The governor appointed me to work for the people. And let me tell you, as far as we are concerned in the Anti-Corruption Commission in Kano State, I know each and every person that is right thinking man in Kano know that what we are doing in Kano is public oriented. I can show you some example. The issue of palliative. We are the only state that prosecute those that touch palliative. And that is why during the NSANS protests, when people are helter-skelter looking for a palliative in Kano to embrace the governor, they didn't get it. Because we have an institution in place that is just doing what it's supposed to do. Now, apart from that, during the COVID-19 lockdown, look at what we did in terms of price hike, artificial. Now people are asking me to do the same miracle. No, this one is not artificial. This one is driven by a lot of factors. But during that one is artificial. And if the government is not for the people, the governor can call me and he can even sack me. So those people are, yes, I'm responsible to the governor. Yes, I'm appointed to the governor. Yes, he's my boss. Yes, this office is attached to the governor for administrative convenience. Under Section 8, we are not responsible to any direction and control of any authority, and that is what we are doing now. Whatever we are doing, and that is why you see, I just made mention of Kano Metropolitan Agency before I come in. An agency that is domiciled in the government house. Before I come in, none of my predecessors that have ever tried to investigate a director in Kano State, let alone a commissioner, or let alone a permanent secretary, let alone a local government chairman, or what have you. So that's why I'm trying to tell you, we are doing our best to make sure that we will deliver to our mandate, regardless of what other people think about us. We are doing our best. Simple.
So the anti-corruption strategy that you are trying to domesticate, that has been ratified and signed by the governor, which is adopted. Apart from the fact that you're talking about the MDAs having anti-corruption face and what have you, how does the trust strategy work with the private sector also?
Well, the strategy was even developed in conjunction with all the citizen growth. It's not only we, the government, that sit in a room and just come out with a strategy that this is our strategy. It was developed with the support of European Union ROLAC program, Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption support program of European Union, and as well, we invite the stakeholders. Stakeholders include civil society group, include government organizations, and what have you. We had a retreat in Jigawa about 3 or 4, and now after the retreats, then we now come back to Kano, we perfect the document, we adopt the document, we agree with the document alongside all the civil society organizations that were present. So after we adopt it, we now take care of all the interest groups, take care of the nitty-gritty that things that pessimistic people might think otherwise, and that is when we come up with the document and we now send it to the government. And government, in his magnanimity, he did not read an eyeball, he just accepted it and adapted it, even though this document is drafted by the public, and he accepted it. And I believe is something commendable. Is something that showcases to us that he is a public-oriented governor, he is a leader for excellence, he is somebody who wants to the best out of his people.
You said Council on Anti-Corruption is the only organization in at state level in Nigeria today.
Kano State is the only subnational government that institutionalized anti-corruption fight. I stand to this to be corrected, but I know this has been testified by A.K. Ekoromadu. You can search for it on the internet. Somebody alert me on that publication where he was giving a lecture that we are the only, the example of true federalism in Nigeria, because we are trying to take care of our needs, to take care of what we need. You remember, we have 36 states of the federation, and that 36 states are relatively independent government with that of the center. So now, when you expect the government at the center to come and police you, to come and do whatever you need,
doing it at the state level.
So that is what I'm telling you. We are setting the pace. We are showcasing the fact that the state has to come. If you look at what is happening in the United States, which we now pull their system, at least there are certain things that the president of the United States will believe that it's not his power to do that. And that's what we are trying to showcase. And even Femi Falana, a famous lawyer, he said that it's the only state, the clip is there, the internet, you can search for it. He said that it's the only Kanos that have an anti-corruption commission of its own. And not only anti-corruption commission, I showcase other initiatives, other anti-corruption initiatives, which I believe, at least, I will use this medium to commend His Excellency the Governor of Kano State, and I believe this is the first in time in the history of Nigeria.
For taking the bull by the horn.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Barrister Muhimmo Gajerimingaru, the Executive Chairman of Kano State Public Complaint and Anti-Corruption Commission, for being part of Straight Talk. And it's on this note we'll be wrapping it up. But before we go, you can join us on this program also by watching previous editions on our social media handles that will be displayed on the screen.